Australia has set an ambitious goal to reduce its emissions by 62 to 70% by the year 2035, a significant pledge that aligns with the global objective of achieving net zero emissions by 2050. This determination underscores a pivotal moment as governments worldwide grapple with climate change challenges. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese expressed confidence in this new target, stating that the decision comes after careful consideration of guidance from the Climate Change Authority, an independent body focused on climate issues. Mr. Albanese articulated that this target is essential, not just for environmental protection, but also for bolstering the economy and safeguarding jobs. It's the right target to protect our environment, to protect and advance our economy and jobs, and to ensure that we act in our national interest and in the interest of this and future generations, he said. This comprehensive approach, he noted, is grounded in scientific evidence. Treasurer Jim Chalmers further emphasized the economic implications of aiming for a 65% reduction by 2035. He presented government analyses indicating that adopting this target could result in a more robust economy with potentially higher wages compared to a scenario where no action is taken to combat emissions. Specifically, projections from the Treasury suggest that by 2050, real wages might be 2.5% higher and individual GDP could see an increase of $2,100 if Australia commits to reducing emissions. However, Chalmers warned that failing to transition in a coordinated manner could lead to detrimental consequences, including lower wages and escalating electricity prices. Currently, emissions in Australia have decreased by about 27% from the benchmark year of 2005, and earlier forecasts suggested that a 51% reduction was feasible by 2035. What's the catch? With this stimulating rhetoric comes the necessity for increased ambition if the Albanese government plans to meet these bold goals. Climate Change Authority Chair Matt Keane pointed out that to achieve significant reductions in emissions, actions must accelerate immediately, with expectations to roughly halve emissions within this decade. In support of these efforts, the Albanese government has recently allocated a significant $2 billion to enhance the Clean Energy Finance Corporation, and unveiled a $5 billion net zero fund aimed at aiding industries in the transition to cleaner energy sources. This fund is part of the larger National Reconstruction Fund strategy, which seeks to facilitate the decarbonization of industrial facilities and the expansion of renewable energy resources. Additionally, a comprehensive net zero plan has been introduced alongside the new targets, outlining further strategies to achieve the 2035 emissions reduction objective. Notably, there are discussions around potentially tightening regulations, including the safeguards mechanism and new vehicle efficiency standard, and exploring the implementation of carbon tariffs on imported goods entering Australia. The Climate Change Authority highlighted that even reaching reductions of 62% will demand a radical transformation, specifically necessitating a four-fold increase in wind energy production, a tripling of large-scale solar power, and a doubling of rooftop solar setups. Furthermore, it requires not only extending the safeguard mechanism, but also halting old-growth logging and ensuring that half of all new vehicles sold in Australia by 2035 are electric. Climate Change Minister Chris Bowen expressed optimism, asserting that the shift to renewable energy presents Australia with an incredible economic opportunity. If we get it right, he remarked. He articulated that this target range was designed to maintain flexibility amid global uncertainties about technological advancements and regional climate commitments. However, the government's target has elicited a mixed reaction from various stakeholders. Environmental advocacy groups expressed disappointment that the goal did not firmly set 70% as the baseline for ambition. Organizations like the Australian Conservation Foundation critiqued the target as lacking assertiveness, while the Smart Energy Council acknowledged that while the commitment is a step toward addressing climate pollution, the 70% mark should be viewed as the minimal ambition level to be effective against global warming. Yet, in the face of this backlash, Mr. Bowen asserted that the government's target represents the most ambitious standard that can be realistically achieved. The commitment will be presented at an upcoming United Nations summit, alongside updated targets from other nations. However, it is anticipated that some environmental groups may still be left wanting, having hoped for a goal of at least 70% to effectively limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. On the other hand, business representatives caution against exceeding a 70% target, arguing that it could jeopardize hundreds of billions of dollars in export revenues. Innes Willox, CEO of the Australian Industry Group, acknowledged the challenges posed by the targeted emissions reductions but remarked that they are indeed feasible through dedicated efforts focused on making Australia an inviting place for investment and development. He urged stakeholders not to spend the next decade debating target ranges, but rather to move forward with practical measures that enhance the likelihood of achieving these targets. Adding to the discourse, Greens leader Larissa Waters criticized the government's position, accusing it of yielding to coal and gas interests. She emphasized that the current targets might not suffice to avert the severe dangers highlighted in the government's National Climate Risk Assessment, which cautioned that allowing global temperatures to rise beyond 3 degrees Celsius could result in severe consequences: higher sea levels, more frequent extreme weather events, and intensified heat waves and health crises. What's your opinion? Do you believe this target is ambitious enough to truly curb climate change effects, or do you think bolder actions are needed? Please share your thoughts in the comments.